in the blink of an eye, the world would transform into an eerie spectacle. The once vibrant cities would fall silent. The ceaseless hum of human activity would abruptly halt, replaced by an unsettling quietude. The streets, once teeming with life, would stand empty, the echo of our existence resonating through the vacant buildings, the desolate parks, and the abandoned homes. The immediate aftermath would be a world steeped in a profound stillness. The incessant chatter of humans, the rumble of vehicles, the hum of machinery, all would be snuffed out like a candle in the wind. The world would hold its breath, as if time itself had paused, waiting for the echo of a human voice that would never come. Our domesticated companions, our pets, would be the first to feel the void. Dogs would wait by the door for their masters who would never return. Cats would roam through empty homes, their meows echoing in the silence. Parrots would mimic human voices, the last remnants of our language reverberating through the still air. The world without us would be a world in transition. The ceaseless march of nature would not pause but would pick up its pace. Weeds would break through the concrete, reclaiming the roads. Vines would crawl up the walls of our homes, our schools, and our offices, a green invasion erasing the gray of human civilization. Animals would venture into the cities, curious and unafraid, the urban jungle becoming a real one. But amidst the silence and stillness, life would find a way. The world would adjust, adapt, and evolve. The chorus of nature would rise, filling the void left by human voices. The rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds, the howling of the wind, these would become the new symphony of the world. And so, in the immediate aftermath, the world would plunge into silence and stillness, a stark contrast to the bustling activity of the human era. As days turn into weeks, the world without humans would start to see significant changes. Concrete jungles would gradually transform into literal ones. With no one to prune, trim, or pave, nature would begin to creep back into our cities. Plants and trees, once tightly controlled in their growth, would burst forth, breaking through the concrete and reclaiming the earth beneath. Abandoned buildings would become the new habitats for a plethora of wildlife. Deer would graze in former parks, birds would nest in high-rises, and foxes would skulk in the shadows of crumbling infrastructure. The heart of New York, London, or Tokyo, once throbbing with human activity, would now beat to the rhythm of nature's own pulse. This rewilding of urban spaces wouldn't stop at the city limits. With no agricultural activities to keep them at bay, forests would expand, swallowing up the monoculture of farmlands. The boundaries between cities and countryside would blur, creating a continuous, unbroken landscape of green. And it's not just the land that would see a transformation. Our rivers, seas, and oceans would undergo a metamorphosis of their own. Without constant human pollution, the water bodies of the world would slowly start to clear. The once murky waters of the Thames, the Hudson, and the Ganges would sparkle in the sunlight, teeming with life unseen for centuries. In the skies above, the cessation of industrial activities would lead to a significant drop in air pollution. The smoggy haze that once shrouded our cities would lift, revealing a clear blue sky, perhaps for the first time in hundreds of years. The stars, long hidden behind a veil of light pollution, would shine brightly in the night sky. In the absence of humans, nature would reclaim its spaces, a testament to its resilience and power. The world, left to its own devices, would flourish, proving that even in the face of profound change, life finds a way to thrive. This isn't a post-apocalyptic dystopia, but rather a reminder of the enduring strength and beauty of the natural world. But what about the structures and monuments we left behind? How would they fare in a world without humans? In the absence of human intervention, the laws of entropy dictate that everything from the most minuscule grain of sand to the grandest skyscraper eventually succumbs to decay. Man-made structures, despite their seeming permanence, would not be exempt from this inevitable process. Consider our buildings. Without regular maintenance, their gradual degradation would set in almost immediately. Layers of dust would settle on surfaces unchecked. Rain, wind, and the relentless cycle of freezing and thawing would start to erode the exteriors of these structures. Over time, paint would peel, windows would shatter, and roofs would cave in. The once bustling cityscapes would transform into ghost towns, their silent edifices a haunting testament to their former inhabitants. Bridges, too, would suffer a similar fate. Without routine checks and repairs, rust would gnaw at their iron and steel bones, weakening them bit by bit. Eventually, the weight they were designed to bear would prove too much, leading to their ultimate collapse. And then, there are the infrastructures that thread our world together. Roads would crack and crumble under the unrelenting sun and the encroaching vegetation. Railway tracks would warp and twist, rendering them unusable. Airports would return to the wild, their runways lost beneath the encroaching grasslands and forests. Nature, ever patient, would slowly but surely reclaim these spaces. Seeds carried by the wind would find a home in the crevices of these crumbling structures. Over the years, these seeds would grow into trees, their roots prying apart concrete and stone, accelerating the process of destruction. The monuments that we so proudly erected as symbols of our achievements, our triumphs over nature, would fall prey to the very elements they sought to defy. The Eiffel Tower, the Great Wall, the pyramids, all would bow down to the inexorable march of time and nature's indomitable will. Our once mighty structures would crumble and decay, a stark reminder of the transient nature of human achievements. As centuries passed, the world without humans would undergo even more drastic changes. As the tick-tock of time marches on, the Earth without its most dominant species would begin a process of healing and renewal. The long-term effects on the planet would be as profound as they are transformative. Firstly, the recovery of the ozone layer. Without the constant emission of harmful gases, the ozone layer would slowly but surely begin to repair itself. Over centuries, the hole that once threatened life on Earth would shrink, eventually healing completely. This would lead to a decrease in the intensity of sunlight reaching the surface, creating a more balanced and habitable climate. Secondly, global warming would start to recede. The ceaseless human activities that previously pumped greenhouse gases into the atmosphere would be no more. The Earth's temperature would start to stabilize, ice caps would stop melting, and sea levels would cease their relentless rise. In the absence of human-induced climate change, weather patterns would return to their natural rhythms. Storms would become less violent, droughts less prolonged, and heat waves less lethal. The Earth's climate, once a runaway train, would finally be back on track. Thirdly, wildlife would flourish. With no humans to hunt them, clear their habitats, or disrupt their ecosystems, animal and plant species would thrive. Forests would reclaim cities, wild animals would roam freely, and the biodiversity of the planet would reach unprecedented levels. However, amidst this resurgence of nature, all signs of human civilization would gradually disappear. Concrete jungles would crumble, monuments would decay, and technological marvels would rust into oblivion. The once vibrant signs of human life would be swallowed by the relentless tide of time and nature. In the grand scheme of things, the absence of humans would serve as a reset button for Mother Earth, a chance for the planet to catch its breath, to heal its wounds, and to reset the balance disrupted by mankind's short but impactful stay. In the long run, the Earth would heal and thrive, a world reborn in the absence of its most dominant species. So, what does this all mean for us, the human species? We've journeyed through a world devoid of our presence, witnessing nature reclaiming its territories, our once towering monuments crumbling into ruin, and the long-term repercussions of our sudden disappearance. It's a chilling contemplation, isn't it? Yet it brings us to a profound realization. We are but transient inhabitants of this ancient, resilient planet. Our achievements, as grand as they may seem, are fleeting against the backdrop of Earth's enduring saga. They are susceptible to the relentless march of time and the unforgiving elements of nature. Our presence, or the lack thereof, deeply affects the world we inhabit. We've seen the scars we've etched on the face of this planet, yet we've also glimpsed the potential for healing.